a little bit different than the rest of the players they had on the show because I'm typically known as a rock guitar player. And he came to me and goes, "Wow, I'm really surprised you can hang with these guys." And I said, "Well, I love blues and jazz, and I try to be much more than just a rock guitarist, you know."
Hello, everyone out there with my inadvertent live feed. I'm here today with old friend Frank Hannon of Tesla and more recently solo artist fame. Good to see you, Frank.
Hey, great to be here, Alan. Yeah, solo artist for I've got a lot of solo albums. I was looking at my catalog and just tripping how insane I've been going for the past 20 years.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I did just creative craziness, I guess, but and
Well,
I'm still very active with Tesla.
yeah, it's great to be able to have an outlet. It's great for all of us who are musicians are lucky in general to have an outlet to play, even if it never left our own computer or recordings, but to have an audience and get feedback and be able to put out creative things is great for the mental health and the creative life and everything else.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
when you're in a band for 40 years, it's definitely like a long-term marriage, and I'm very grateful for the band Tesla, and but we have a very direct direction with our lead singer and the way we write songs, and usually a guitar player who's got crazy creative ideas like myself, or someone that's been in a band forever, they like to experiment and try all these different things, and that's pretty much like the creative craziness that goes along with being outside of the band on brief periods of time. You can experiment with jazz or blues or country or all these different things.
Right. And your most recent recording, Reflections, is solo guitar. I mean, literally it's just you on everything, I believe. Is that right?
Yes, sir. It's all instrumental. It's the first official all instrumental record I've done. I've done a lot of solo albums that uh, I've played all the different instruments, but I've sang and written songs that are like Americana style or based on like influenced by folk or storytelling stuff. But this one is all guitar, only guitar, and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you recorded most of it on an iPhone, didn't you?
Yeah, I was using my voice memo feature on the iPhone to just capture some ideas that I was having. I went through a period of time where I was just getting an influx of just idea every day. Like, every guitar player or musician will tell you there's these periods of time where all of a sudden you'll just get flooded with some inspiration. And I was recording on my cell phone just to not forget these ideas, but I stumbled on this microphone right here. It's a little Wi-Fi microphone called Audigo. There you can see the
Yeah.
logo. And I stumbled on it from a Facebook ad, and it
Which I
said
get
that it was
all the time. I get those exact Facebook ads all the time because we look at the same kind of things. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and it was talking about how easy it is to use. And so in that creative headspace I was in at this period of time where all these ideas were coming, the last thing I wanted to do was start up a computer and open a session and create a grid and all this stuff that goes along with digital recording, and it just takes you out of the creative headspace. So this intrigued me, and I ordered it, and the sound quality was amazing. I started making these little videos with it on my cell phone, and the cool thing about it is you can overdub. So what I would do is I'd record a rhythm guitar, and then I would listen back to it and actually be able to overdub a couple tracks. And I was blown away by the sound, and that's what ended up being my whole Reflections album was done from start to finish, all the way to a 12-inch vinyl that looks like that right there. A
That's amazing.
12-inch vinyl. So I took the cell phone with the app and my mixes to a studio in Nashville, and the engineer couldn't believe I had done it on my cell phone. He said, "Well, hey, can you turn the bass up a little bit?" I'm like, "Sure." And I just did it right there on my cell phone, and I texted him the file, and he put it on the vinyl. It was
That's
cool.
It's amazing. Did you realize when you first started doing it that you were recording an album, or did you think you were making sort of songwriting notes?
Well, that's a great question because I did not think I was making an album. I had no intentions on making an album. I was just making little social media videos and taking notes, like you said, little just documenting some little ideas. Like if I had a riff, I was fooling around with
Notes,
this
like you
little
said.
rhythm,
Just documenting some little ideas, like if I had
and I wanted to not forget it. So I was just making these little things for ideas, just to document the ideas. But my wife encouraged me not to just throw them out there and just get rid of them so fast. She is the one that encouraged me to save them for something special. And then I ended up compiling them, all 12 of them, onto an album.
It's amazing. And your wife, we were going to get to this, but since you mentioned your wife, is Dickey Betts' daughter. And you guys have been married for a long time. How long have you been married?
25 years we're celebrating.
Okay, congratulations. So Dickey was
Thank
your
you.
father-in-law for 24 years or whatever.
Yes, sir. Yep.
And people don't initially, I don't think most people associate musically Tesla and Dickey Betts or the Allman Brothers, although some of the stuff you've known for, I think maybe there's more crossover. But what could you talk about his influence or the Allman Brothers' influence on you, both before you ever knew him and then in the last 20 years where you were family?
Well, being from the West Coast, up Northern California, I was more influenced by the San Francisco style of jam music and guitar, like Jefferson Airplane and Grateful Dead and Santana. And,
I was fooling around.
but I knew the Allman Brothers were similar to that, but I really wasn't an Allman Brothers student like most people on the East Coast are. Every time I go to the East Coast, especially now, uh, it's like the Allman Brothers are the ultimate. They're and Dickey especially too is just like the ultimate icon of music on especially on the East Coast. But so anyway, back to my upbringing, I was more a West Coast kid. And in the 80s, grew up with the Van Halen and the Randy Rhoads. But in the 70s, when I started playing, I was really influenced by Carlos Santana and Creedence Clearwater. So I was doing a gig in North Carolina, and our drummer in Tesla had met Christy and introduced me to her, and we just hit it off great, and we're very compatible, and became best friends instantly. And I got to know Dickey right away, and just started really diving into his catalog and his music, and just have really became a student, and just he's just such an iconic songwriter, both with instrumentals and songs that have lyrics like Blue Sky. And I just became to more familiar and appreciating his influence. And I think his influence, and I've had so many people tell me this, that guitar players that Dickey influenced their playing without them even really realizing it, because he
Yeah.
was so melodic and such a great songwriter that his songs have really influenced guitar players with that, the style that he did of the major scale. He took the major scale to another level, that happy feel good music, and it really has influenced a lot of people, whether they realize it or not, on the guitar.
And he would do a couple of things that he did that are very subtle that I don't think if you were a guitar player, you might not know, but it would still pull you in, is he would use that major scale in settings where people would expect a minor scale. Uh,
Yeah.
and he would sometimes add some notes in that major scale that puts it into a more modal. Could you give us a little demonstration? You got the guitar in your hand.
Yeah, well, I will. I thought you would appreciate this, so I pulled this guitar out for you. This is a piece of history right here. This guitar here was given to me by Dickey, and this is the last creation that he made with Gibson. And Gibson only made 3 of these, and this is one of them. And we call it the Les G because
Yeah.
it's kind of a hybrid of an SG guitar that Dickey played and the Les Paul with the switch up here and
Yeah.
the body being a lot thicker.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a lot thicker than an SG, right?
Yeah, yeah. And
Is it?
Dickey gave
What's
me
the weight
this.
like? That's an awesome thing to have. One of three, man. Jeez.
Yeah, it's perfect weight. This is a really awesome guitar. It's really thick and it's bigger. And me being kind of a bigger framed fella, I was playing this guitar a lot at his house, and he noticed that, and he turned me on to it. But yeah, Dickie would play so melodically, and he could play, like you were saying, a lot of notes with the major scale and in and out of the major scale. But the key to what Dickie did that I learned a lot was he played really soft and relaxed behind the beat. So instead of like, playing really fast, like he'd be all, the notes were just right behind the beat. So the notes sound bigger in a way. It's hard to explain really unless you've really tried to do it. And it's taught me to slow down a lot. But the fun part about hanging out with Dickie was more about just listening to him tell stories and describe things. And he would crack a joke and he would tell me about guitar playing. He would say, you gotta come in late and leave early. And he told me that Willie Nelson inspired him to think that way. So if you listen to his phrasing, he doesn't just come in on the downbeat. He'll like
Yeah.
like he'll put the phrases in different parts of the measure.
And that adds a little bit of tension without you even realizing it. Your brain, you're waiting for that to hear the note.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a little late and it leaves a little early, or it could come in a little early and leave a little late. But never just like right on the beat like a machine.
I wonder if you go back to when Dickie started playing that way, if he did that consciously or if he just did it and then realized he did it and made it into a style. One thing that Dickie said to me a long time ago that always stuck with me, when I sort of asked him, how were you guys so mature so early? Because when the Allman Brothers started, Dickie and JMO were the oldest guys. They were 25, I think. Barry and Greg were the youngest. They were like 20. All these ages are approximate in case anyone starts attacking me. But and Dwayne and Butch were 21, 22. And Dickie said, well, we were a nightclub band, not a garage band. They all had a lot of miles on their tires, even at that young age. And I do think that type of playing and playing and playing, and Dickie literally ran away and joined the circus and played multiple shows a day, and in a midway act. They just had so many. They had time to learn the tricks of the trade.
Yeah, yeah, and he and I would talk about that. We had a similar beginnings as a young guy. When I was 15, I had joined a band with older guys, and we played the clubs in Sacramento and the Bay Area. We would drive to LA or we'd drive to Boise, and we played every weekend in the nightclubs before we ever made a record. And we would play cover tunes and originals. And, when you're forced into that situation, you got to really be able to entertain the crowd and keep people interested throughout the night. When you're starting at 8 and going till 2 in the morning playing nightclubs, you got to keep them on the dance floor and in order to keep getting hired. And yeah, he started out really young, like you said, playing fairs and stuff. And I had started pretty young, left school early with the guys. And so we would talk about those similarities of that.
Did you fall into any of the pitfalls of being 15 years old and out on the road with older guys gone for the weekend?
Yeah, I made a lot of mistakes and got lucky. I'm very lucky to still be here.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. But the guitar, being focused on the guitar, I think saved me from a lot of those pitfalls. I talked about this the other day. When I was about 16 or 17, I started working with Ronnie Montrose as a producer, and he would come to our band practices and record us. And I don't know if it was him or our manager at the time, Steve. They bought me a Fostex cassette 4-track recorder. And once I started experimenting with recording my guitar and writing songs and overdubbing at a very young age and learning how to add layers of acoustic guitar overdubbed with electric guitar on a 4-track and make demo tapes, I just became infatuated with that. And just that's all I did was play guitar, try to learn licks, and record my own ideas on a 4-track. And that kept me out of trouble. It
Yeah.
became an obsession.
And that's what you're still doing. I mean, this album is in a way a modern version of that, you
You're
know?
right. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, JMO told me the only thing that kept him alive were push-ups and paradiddles because all he did when he wasn't on the stage or with the band, he did worked out with push-ups and sit-ups and just practiced. Maybe did paradiddles and constantly, just drum rudiments.
Yeah.
Why he
I
looked
believe
like
it.
he did and why he, stayed out of some of the trouble. Um,
Yeah. A lot of the kids I grew up with were doing other things, stealing cars and doing dumb stuff. And thank goodness I got away from that and just really practiced and I, even on the road after I got older, 19, 20 years old, whatever, with Tesla, and we were out there touring, I would try to find other instruments in pawn shops. Like I found a violin and I tried to learn how to play a fiddle. Picked up a flute at a pawn shop and started trying to learn how to play that, just to keep my mind focused on music.
yeah.
Music definitely saved my ass for sure.
Well, you just did a new video for the album, for the song San Francisco off the album Reflections, which was a collaboration with Chris from the Brotherhood of Lights. I've known Chris for decades and I still don't know how to say his last name. So if you know how to say it, please say it properly.
I think it's Samardich.
Okay. Yeah, it's like Bill
Yeah.
Skimizik, the
Yeah.
producer.
I
Could
never knew
look
how to say his name. How do you
I
say it?
I forget. He's actually
Yeah,
he's
that
brother in
guy has made some amazing
yeah,
albums too. I've seen his
yeah,
name on there and I never knew how
I
to
know.
say it.
He's brother-in-law with Buddy Thornton, who was the Allman Brothers front of house guy and engineer on Brothers and Sisters and a bunch of that stuff, Highway Call. And Buddy told me how to say Bill's last name one time, but I forget now. So I don't want to.
Well,
But it's
I've
one of
read
those
it
names.
millions of times.
Lot of
I've read it
content.
millions of times on credits,
I
because
know.
so many great albums. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So tell me a little bit about working with Chris, and how that came to be, and why San Francisco was the right song to do that with.
Well, it just all fell together naturally with Chris and the song. But I met Chris on the Allman Betts family reunion tour years ago. I had done a few shows with Devin and Dwayne, and in particular, the Fillmore in San Francisco. And in between songs, when I would jam with them, I would just watch the light show and just be blown away by it. And so I would go talk to him, and he and I hit it off really good. He kind of liked me because I was a little bit different than the rest of the players they had on the show because I'm typically known as a rock guitar player. And he came to me and goes, "Wow, I'm really surprised you can hang with these guys." And I said, "Well, I love blues and jazz, and I try to be much more than just a rock guitarist. But anyway, he was very cool to me and complimentary about my playing. And so we hit it off. And every time I'd go out with those guys or do any dates, I would rap with him about his light show. And so we exchanged numbers and stuff. Fast forward to this record. This record, well, I saw you in New York in
Yeah.
September when
Yep.
this record came out, and I did a couple shows with it. And then over Christmas, I released entirely different project for some guitar versions of Greensleeves. And I wanted to re-release something from Reflections because I didn't feel like this had gotten enough attention. So I listened to all the tracks and I decided, one of my favorite songs is San Francisco. Just I love everything about it. It's so different. And the light bulb came on for me that the sound of it really the visuals would really be cool if I could get Chris to turn me on to some of his imagery. So I emailed him the track and he got back to me right away that he loved it. And within an hour or two, he had sent me some beautiful images of the city with the liquid oil
Yeah.
stuff that he had created, and it just came together so quickly and naturally. And that's how when you know something's really meant to be and magical is when it's just flows and falls together like that. And literally, like, he got back to me within hours and we put it together. And I was just really thrilled by that, because his history going back and Brotherhood of Light show and his partners that he's worked with go back to the Monterey Pop Festival, which is such an iconic, influential show for me as a kid. 1976, I went to a theater with my mom to see the Monterey Pop Festival movie, and it just changed my life. That particular movie and that concert in general was pivotal for me as a Northern California kid learning about music.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
No, I mean, it was pivotal in music history. I mean, it was Jimi Hendrix and the Experience's American debut. It was the Who's, I don't think it was their debut, but it was really their introduction to the crowd, to the market. It was Otis Redding.
Bloomfield, Otis
Yeah.
Redding.
Yeah, Otis Redding, introduction, crossing over from black to white, or all audiences, which led directly in some ways to the Allman Brothers, because Phil Walden was Otis Redding's manager, and he was out there with Otis, and he saw, how big this new white hippie market was. And when Otis passed away, that's one of the reasons that he was like, well, I think the next thing should be a rock band. That's
Wow, I didn't know that connection.
Yeah.
See, that's really cool. Yeah, that
Yeah.
concert is a monumental, pivotal show. Paul McCartney was the one who suggested that Jimmy would be there, right?
Yeah, I think that's right. And the Who was freaking out because they did their guitar destroying thing, and they knew that Hendrix did that, and they didn't want to follow Hendrix, so they insisted on playing before him. And that's when, Jimmy saw them do that, and he lit his guitar on fire. Or,
Yeah.
maybe it was the opposite. I forget I'm messing something up in that story, but it is factual that's why Jimmy said, well, you want to destroy him? Okay, I'll light it on fire. So,
And it's magical. You watch the footage of that, and even before he gets the lighter fluid out, I mean, the way he's just squeezing the feedback out of that guitar, it's just timeless. And the guitar sounds like it's about ready to crap out at any minute. The chords going, I mean, it sounds like it's just shorting out, but it's a perfect performance just from start to finish. Even when he plays like a Rolling Stone, and
yeah,
he comes out playing Killin' Floor and Rock Me Baby, he's just on fire. But the other performances at that show, Buddy Miles is playing with Bloomfield, and they're doing the Paul Butterfield.
Electric Flag. Was it Electric Flag? I think, yeah.
And Janis Joplin, her performance is epic there, and the Mamas and the Papas and the Association. And we can't forget Country Joe and the Fish.
Yeah. And Joe just passed away, so.
Yeah. So we'll pay a little honor to him, man, because he was iconic. And fast forward to Woodstock 2 years later, But so going back to Chris Samardich and the Brotherhood of Light show, and there's some great video on a link that I shared that goes all the way back to Monterey Pop and Fillmore and Winterland and all that whole San Francisco scene.
Yeah, and for those of you watching this live right now, I'm gonna when we finish this interview and I'm off, I'll put the video link in right below, and on all the various places that you might be watching this as we speak. So we're talking about Dickey as a musician, as a guitar player, but he was your father-in-law. So how was he as a father-in-law? Because Dickey, it's pretty legendary, his intimidating side. And father-in-laws are also in general, have a reputation for can sometimes be a little intimidating. So
no, well, he could be intimidating, not as a father-in-law, but just like he was very dynamic. I mean, he would be very serious at one point and then instantly just be comical as hell, and funny. So no, he was always really cool to me. We got along great, and the best times were really golfing and hanging out, going out on the boat, not necessarily even around the guitar. Even though we did jam a few times and he invited me to get on stage with him a few times and would always give me a high five afterwards, and uh, but the funnest times were just sitting on the couch drinking coffee or having breakfast and just listening to his stories, and we hit it off great. I think he was okay with me, and he knew I loved Christy and that I was going to take care of her, and we never had any troubles, man. We were always great friends.
Yeah. Well, and you've been together for 25 years, which speaks to the fact that there was something obviously very real and solid there from the beginning.
Yeah, and I just had a lot of respect for him as a guy, man, who had to survive so many ups and downs and so many things, and he never complained, man. He was always just a survivor.
Yeah. Yeah. He put his shoulder to the wheel and he did the work,
Yes, sir.
from the beginning. And Christy is a musician as well, is she not?
She can sing great, and she's got great ears, but no, she is a horse person. And that was the other thing Dickie loved too, and we would share that together because Dickie was a cowboy at heart, and my wife is a cowgirl, and she works with cattle and rides and trains horses, but she can definitely sing, and she's got a lot of talent, and she's been a registered nurse for years, and yeah,
Yeah. So you guys were in Florida for a while and you moved back to California, right?
that's right, yeah.
How are you liking it back there and how's Christy handling it? I mean, she's a born and bred Florida girl.
Well, she's from North Carolina, really.
Oh,
You
Love
know?
Valley, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
Carolina.
Yeah.
Won't be long and I'll be there. Dickie sings about Carolina.
Yeah.
But she loves it here. This has been our home for the whole time we've been together and raised our family here. And, we went to Florida for the last 3 years of Dickie's life, and it was wonderful to have that time with him. Um, After he passed away, we were barraged with a series of hurricanes, and the humidity mixed with the hurricanes just really wasn't good for the horses. And that third hurricane, Milton, was projected to come right at us, and we just packed up the horses to get them out of there to keep them safe. And once we got on the highway, we just decided, let's just get all the way back home, and that's what we did.
Yeah. Is it hard moving horses from Florida to California?
Yes, very hard.
Yeah.
It took us almost a month. We had to stop, and but it was great. We had some friends that really helped us a lot. We stopped in Vernon, Florida, by Panama City, and met some great folks there. And they let us stay there on their ranch for a few days, and then we drove to Louisiana and we camped out there for a few days. But one of our horses got sick from the grass in Florida, and when we got back to California after that long trip, we had to put her down. It was very difficult, and that was part of the pain that I was feeling for my wife and for what we had gone through. That I put into this music on Reflections. I think that whole experience triggered that creative escape on the guitar that ended up becoming my Reflections album,
Yeah.
to
I
be
mean,
honest.
to go back to what I said at the beginning, I mean, it's so great as a musician, a guitar player, to have that vehicle to put your thoughts and emotions into, coming out of Dickie's passing and these hurricanes and moving and death of a
Yes.
horse. So that's
Yeah.
a lot in a short time.
Yeah. Yeah. And thank God for music and guitar and family and friends, man. And I'm glad you and I get to
Yeah.
chat, man. It's really cool. I remember
Me
talking to
too.
you in New York. We had a fun time sitting there rapping and
I I know, and it turns out we have another good mutual friend who after I told about that, Rick Wagner, who was a Tesla tour manager at some point way back in the day, is a
yeah.
good friend of mine here in Maplewood, New Jersey, and we played in band together for many years. and he was upset that I didn't tell him I was going to see you, but I didn't know about your relationship with him until after. So
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen him, and we've Tesla. Not to change the subject, but Tesla is celebrating 40 years.
yeah,
We
well,
can,
no,
that's hard to believe.
let's
It's
change the subject
crazy.
and talk about that. How active is Tesla right now, and how great is it to have that? I mean, I think you mentioned it earlier, but being in a band is like being in a marriage. So that's sort of like 40 years of being married, except you get to go home to different houses. So.
It is. When I left high school and started playing with the guys, it was Brian Wheat and myself. And he and I have been a team since I was 15 and he was 18, and stuck together through all of this and continue to really drive the band forward. And we kind of take turns doing that, like I was writing a lot of songs over the past couple years and pushing it. And now he's really pushing it. And he got us a deal recently with a label and produced an album that we're going to put out this year. It's called Homage, and it's got a new Tesla song on it. And that album is some remakes of some R&B classics like Sam Cooke, Etta James, to show off our lead singer, Jeff Keith, to show his soulful side. And that record's going to come out in July, and we're really excited about that. And to support that record, we're going to go out on tour as the middle band between Motley Crue and Extreme. So it's going to be a big late summer for us, releasing that record and touring with those guys.
That's great. Well, congratulations. Is it still exciting to play some of the songs you started playing 40 years ago?
I have to be honest, it really is. There was a period of time in the past where you go through periods of getting tired of playing the same old thing. But man, I really appreciate being able to play those songs, and especially our original numbers, because we do some covers, and like Signs, we did a remake of Signs,
Right.
and that was one of our biggest hits, and the crowd just goes crazy for it. But we have another song that's one of our originals that's a very simple lick, and it starts with one note, this note. It's so simple, and it goes, and every time it just never gets old, man. As soon as I walk up to the guitar, I wait for the crowd to die down a little bit, and then I go, and they go, and they cheer. And that never will get old, ever. I don't care how long we do it for.
That's awesome. I got a little chill as you played that. It's and it's something that certainly Dickey exemplified, and that what we all know, but sometimes you need to be reminded of as a guitar player. We can get so obsessed with playing the coolest lick, the hottest lick, the fastest lick, but the ones that dig into your brain aren't always those. And I mean, geez, Blue Sky, I mean, the main riff on it's pretty simple. I mean,
Yeah.
but I mean, what it's what
As soon as you hear it, it's like, yes.
and what a beautiful combination of notes. It's I was with Dickey on his bus when he had just gotten the Les Paul prototypes, the one that Dwayne plays now. He had a red one and a gold one, and Andy Aladort and I were on his bus, and he handed us each one to check them out. And I immediately played Blue Sky on his gold top. And when I told my brother that, he said, Dickey Betts handed you his Dickey Betts signature guitar, and standing in front of him, you dared to play Blue Sky. And I said, well, what else would I play? It's the first lick I usually play if someone hands me a guitar anyhow. And of course, I wanted to play Blue Sky on Dickey's Les Paul.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure, especially if Andy was playing it at the same time, I would have sounded like a complete idiot. But that's okay,
No, man.
Yeah.
And it's funny, Dickey he didn't like perfection at all. That was what was so cool about his personalities. The rougher, the better. So he probably loved the way you played it, man,
Well, I mean, it's a tip of the hat anyhow to say, I know your lick, and it's the first thing I play on any guitar anyhow, because it is just like I just said, there's something way beyond,
Yeah.
the 7 notes.
And this, how about this one too? As soon as you hear that, right? It's like, right. It's time to party.
The guitar tracks on that song are a little bit complex in the way that they were orchestrated and composed. Not although, the licks themselves maybe aren't, but the way they were put together sure is. It's pretty
It's
amazing.
layered, really. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. So, um, well, Frank, listen, it's always great to see you. Congratulations on staying so busy, on putting out music that people love, and on this video, San Francisco. I think it's cool that you did something to bring this album back, uh, and hopefully get some more people to hear it because it's a really interesting, fun, cool, emotional
Thanks,
album. And
Alan.
now we know why it's emotional because you just told us what it was coming out of. And I got one last question. Do you take that guitar on the road with you?
I have taken it on the road. I haven't recently, but when he first gave it to me, I did tour with it for about 2 years. And I used it on a Tesla video and a song called Cold Blue Steel. And so if anybody watches that Cold Blue Steel video, they'll see and hear this one.
Yeah.
I might take it back out again, but because it is so rare, it's pretty sacred to me. I don't really tour with it that much. And there's another SG that I used in my One More Time video that Dickey had loaned me. And I remember when I played in New York, you were like,
Yeah.
break out Dickey's SG. You were
Yeah,
hollering
yeah,
at me.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And I don't travel with that one either. That's a
yeah,
sacred one either,
yeah,
also. But once in a while, I'll break them out for very special occasions.
yeah. Well, that's cool. It's awesome that you have them. And I mean, every guitar that you love becomes special once you play it. But I saw Dickey play that guitar. I think he had those just made for him on his last tour, which was in 2016, I guess it was, or 17, or
Yeah,
whatever year it
exactly.
was.
Right on his last tour. And
Yeah,
they were, before they changed ownerships, they were building this as his new design. And it's so unique. And if you can see that
yeah, yeah. That's cool.
proto number
He,
2, and here's
yeah,
something very special that you'll like. If you look closely,
yeah. What am I
there's
looking for?
that knob right there.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
got duct tape on it.
Okay.
And the reason it does is because Dickey was such a warrior, guitar soldier, that despite even having his stroke and not even being able to feel his hands, he put that duct tape on there so he could get a hold of that knob
Yeah,
and kept on playing. And that was what he told me. You got to keep on swinging, keep on
yeah.
fighting. And that was his spirit. And God bless him. I miss him. I love him. And I thought you'd get a kick out of that. There's the duct tape is
It's
still on the
amazing.
knob.
And is it part of the prototype or did Dickey put that on there?
No, Dickey put that on there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. Well, if they should have made that as a regular production model. And if they ever do, they should have it come with duct tape on it.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Factory
That's a pretty cool
installed.
idea.
Yeah.
I
Factory
might get a
installed
hold
duct
of
tape.
Gibson and ask them to do that, and it's got such a thick enough body that maybe they could even do a version with a Floyd Rose on it or something to put a little Frank Hannon twist on it.
Yeah. Make it the Hannon Betts signature
Oh
model.
man, what an honor that would be. Hey, you're really firing my light bulbs up here. I think I'm going to call Gibson when we hang up this call.
Oh, good. And one last thing. So you mentioned playing on the Allman Betts Family Revival. Dwayne obviously is your brother-in-law, and you guys have a pretty good and deep relationship, right?
Yeah, we're bros. We're buddies, and I've jammed with him a bunch, and I'm just so proud of him. He's got a new record coming out, actually, and I just saw a video down to Houston or something like that. I have to look it up again, but he played me his new record, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think they're in Japan right now, actually. So they're super busy, him and Devin and Dwayne as a solo artist,
Yeah,
and
I've
he's a
also
great
heard
guy, man.
yeah, I've also heard that Dwayne's solo album, it was produced by Dave Cobb. It's a little different than the other things he's done, but this sounds distinctly like him, and it sounds great. A lot of acoustic guitars, backing things up, and,
Yeah. He's a
yeah.
great songwriter, man, and I'm really proud of him. And I met him in the very beginning, and he was a young guy. And to see where he is now, it's just so great. I'm really happy for Dwayne.
Yeah, completely agree. I met him when he was 14 or 15, just being backstage at Allman Brothers shows, and I remember him going out on on the stage at the Beacon and playing, with Dickey. I think it was the first time he ever played with him. He was about 16, and he came off, and he was, like, distraught And I said, Dwayne, you were great. He's a perfectionist. I said, you were great. He said, oh, I can play so much better than that. And I said, well, I mean, nobody's going to play their very best. You're with your a legendary band in front of a sold out crowd with your father, and your
A lot of
father's Dickey
pressure.
Betts,
Yeah.
but anyone's father would be kind of intense. And he said, well, I can play so much better. Will you come up and listen to me play in the dressing room? And I said, sure. So we went up to the dressing room. He had his Paul Reed Smith, and he played me all this really cool instrumental stuff. And it was actually Ronnie Earl. Ronnie Earl had just started doing all instrumental music, and I hadn't heard it yet. And so Dwayne was, like 16 and turned me on to this. Anyhow, it's been just a blast to watch him grow up into who he is now. And he always had
Yeah.
that talent. Now he's refined it and, got confidence behind it. And,
Yeah, he's got his own thing. He's really developed, and also really you can hear the genetics of his dad in there for sure. And yeah, it's
and when he
awesome to
leans
see.
back into a band, he has the exact body language as Dickey.
Yeah,
The way Dickey would
yeah.
lean back into a bend, like
And
bend
he's
with the whole.
he's got that phrasing that we talked about at the beginning of this, where the notes are behind it and lazy feel, and he's definitely got that. And it's really great to hear the legacy continue on and to
It is
see his
cool.
success.
And there's obviously Devin and Lamar Williams Jr. and Barry Oakley Jr. just in the Allman Brothers world, Melody Trucks, but also, I mean, Lucas Nelson. There's a bunch of the sons and daughters of the greats, and it's very cool to see them carrying it on in that way.
Yeah, because when you come from that upbringing and that lifestyle, it can go either direction, good or bad. And it's great to see Lucas Nelson and Devin and Dwayne and what they're doing. And, my friends, the Nelson twins, Matthew and Gunnar, man, they're freaking awesome, and they carry on their dad's legacy. And so yeah, like I said, it could go either direction with kids that grow up like that, and it's awesome to see them doing so well.
Yeah. Well, Frank, thanks for your time. It's always great to see you. Thanks for everyone who tuned in. I didn't initially mean for this to be a live feed. It was set up on the app I was using to record it, but I like it. I'm glad we did this, and we'll take a look how many people watched it, and it will be reposted on my Substack next week. In a little bit cleaned up form. But Frank, always great seeing you, and I hope to see you on the road soon.
Thanks, Alan. Yeah, I'll share it, man. I look forward. It was spontaneous. I loved it. We
Yeah,
improvised. It was cool.
thank you.
Thank you
Improvisation is
too.
what we love. All right, hold on for one
Peace out.
second.